So what is happening with the government's budget? Tony Abbott was on radio this morning saying that this year's budget, in contrast, I guess, to last year's budget, will be dull and uneventful. On the other hand, he said that he intends, or he would hope to have the budget back in surplus within 5 years, which would need a rather massive fiscal consolidation. It's a bit hard to know what's going on there. So to help explain, we're joined by political correspondent Heath Aston. Good morning, Heath.
Morning.
Can you reconcile those two things, having a budget without many cuts in it and yet getting back to surplus?
Yeah, it's a bit of a juggling act, isn't it? As Tony Abbott said this morning, that a budget that will surprise no one and in fact be dull, but on the other hand you have a time frame that would necessarily mean some deep cuts to get back to a balanced budget. So it's quite hard to work out at this point which one of those will sort of be more important over the cycle.
Why even mention a 5-year timescale, given that the trouble that Labor got into, Wayne Swan and Chris Bowen promising surpluses and they're not being able to deliver? Why would the Prime Minister even go there?
I don't know. I think they obviously want to keep to the line. The coalition, its strong point is economic matters, and they want to stick to the time frame that they've said that they can bring the budget back to surplus. But speaking to John Daly yesterday of the Grattan Institute, he made the point that none of the forecasts of Treasury over the last 7 years have been anywhere near on the mark, and the 5-year time frame is very tight. You would only bring it back into budget if all the savings measures were actually passed, and going on previous experience, it may well be out by 40 billion or so. So it could be a bit of blue sky thinking, maybe from Tony Abbott to even suggest that it would come back into 5 years, but that's a long time frame in the way that politics is done on a daily, 24-hour cycle. A few people have made the point to me today that whether or not the same government, let alone the same leader, will actually be anywhere near it in 5 years is another matter in point.
So on the budget, though, if this year's budget is going to be fairly dull and uneventful and not have big spending cuts in it, very hard to imagine that next year's budget would be a painful budget because it's just before an election. So I guess the conclusion from that is you have an election, you get re-elected, and the first budget, like this first budget last year, is a real stinker.
Yeah.
But surely Labor can point that out.
You'd come full circle, wouldn't you? Because obviously we all know that the third budget in the cycle, the pre-election budget, is obviously going to be the one where you put your hand in your pocket, like John Howard famously used to do, and give out the goodies. So the serious work appears to have been put on the back burner from what Tony Abbott said this morning about shocking no one this time round. But then when do you do it? You're up against a time frame of 5 years, and there doesn't seem to be a natural way of having the budget that actually cuts to bring that balanced budget back in.
Yeah, okay. And look, just before I let you go, Heath, the Prime Minister apparently in the party room yesterday was giving advice to his backbenchers how to deal with the media. Yet on the other hand, it seems like just about every day there's some sort of slip of the tongue. He referred to the Senate as feral. Some of the crossbenchers took exception at that. I'm not sure why, but yesterday in Question Time on St Patrick's Day, he started telling an Irish joke, but was saved by an intervention, I think, other events in the chamber. Is this an ongoing problem for the Prime Minister that there seems to be these inadvertent slips of the tongue?
I think so, yes. Like you said, there seems to be one a day at the moment, and yes, him dishing out advice to other politicians on media management may not get him too far with a lot of people. Yesterday, obviously, he seemed to offend the Irish Prime Minister in intimating that all Irish people like a joke. Maybe it was a little bit overdone.
Like a drink.
Yeah, like a drink. Maybe it was a little bit overdone, I thought, that one. But the fact is that everyone's on guard for the most minor slip up from Tony Abbott at the moment. There may well have been another one with the Vietnamese Premier today.
What did he say?
He said something like, we know the effectiveness of your army. So we'll see whether or not that blows up into anything. But giving advice on media management, like I said, might be a bridge too far for Tony Abbott right now.
A few backbenchers biting their tongue in the party room. Okay, Heath Aston, thanks for bringing us up to date.
Thanks.